Hi everyone, my name is Teacher Ragini and welcome to Form 1 Science. Okay, in Form 1 Science, you'll be having a total of 9 chapters, okay? And today we will be looking at the very first one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, this very first chapter is just an introduction to science, okay? Most of you will already be very familiar with this because you took science in primary school, right? So it's just a little bit of a recap of what science is. Okay, let's try to recap. What do we know is science? What is science actually? Science is just a systematic observation and experiments on natural phenomena. Okay, so the study of science is just the study of things that we can observe in our natural environment, basically. Okay, so this is how we come up with laws of physics and things like that. So let's say now I have this pen in my hand, right? Okay, let's say I drop the pen. I release the pen. What's going to happen? It's going to drop to the ground, isn't it? Okay, and then I take the same pen, I go and stand at the back of the classroom, and I do it again, I release it, and it drops. Okay, so I can make an observation right now. Okay, it dropped here, it also dropped over there. All right, and then I go and stand outside this room, and then I go and stand in another country, and I do it again and again and again, and I make systematic observations, and I can make a conclusion from that. Okay, each time I release the pen or any object, it drops to the ground. So why is this? Why does this happen? Okay, so then this is how we came up with the law of gravity, right? We found out that no matter where I release the pen or any object, it drops to the ground. We made an observation and then we make a conclusion about that. Okay, so this is what science is. It's really just an observation, a study of the things that we can observe around us all the time. Okay, so some of the natural phenomena, things that are happening naturally without our intervention. Okay, the formation of rainbows is one of them. Is anyone going to the sky and putting a rainbow in the sky? No, right? After, whenever it rains, if there's a particular refraction of light that happens, then a rainbow will form. So it's a natural phenomena which we didn't really cause. Okay, likewise, flash floods, volcanic eruptions, the melting of ice, occurrence of day and night, the migration of animals, and also the growth, my growth, your growth, the growth of all kinds of organisms around us, right? So these are all things that are happening naturally all the time. So why is it important for us to study science? What is the importance of learning science? Science is important because generally, the more we understand our environment, the more we can leverage some of these natural phenomena to improve our life, okay, improve the quality of our life. So for instance, in transportation, right? If you look at transportation today, it's actually a lot better than what it used to be, say 100 years ago, right? If I want to travel to, let's say I want to travel to the United States, okay, nowadays it will take me hours. It will take me maybe 24 hours, more or less, okay? But back in the day, if we want to travel to a different continent, we have to take a ship, and that could take weeks up to months to do that. So now we have found a more efficient way to do it, and the reason is because we studied physics, right, which is one branch of science. So this is how it improves our lives. Things like agriculture, we can do things in a more efficient manner, okay? We can grow more crops in a lesser amount of space, okay, due to advancements in science. And then things like medicine, this one is very clear. You know, you go to the doctor whenever you're sick, and with more diseases coming out these days, you know, there's a lot of research being done to kind of cope with these things as well. And then communications, right? So let's say now we're having a tuition class and you're unable to come into class today. Then you can just join the class through online, like how you're seeing me right now. Okay, and we can have this because we have studied how signals work, how to make good semiconductors to build PCs, and how we can get clear internet connections and things like this. All these are all part of science. So generally speaking, all of these things improve the quality of our life and improve the standard of living. Okay. So for your info, there are 6 main fields in science. Some of these you may have already heard of these names before. Okay, biology, for instance. Biology is the study of living things. So what kind of living things can we study? What are some examples? We can study animals, okay, in zoology. Botany is plants. Microbiology, the biology of small microorganisms, and physiology, okay, things like our body, anatomy, and so on. And then we have physics. By the way, you may have heard of these fields before and these names. So the whole idea of Form 1, Form 2, Form 3 science is for you to get an idea of what you enjoy more than others. And then you can make this choice in Form 4. You want to take bio, or you want to take physics, chemistry, and so on. So now it's kind of the time for you to explore your interest. Okay, so a little bit of introduction to physics. Physics is all about matter, okay, things we can see in our physical environment, like liquids, gases, solids, and so on, and also energy, okay, sound energy, kinetic energy, and so on. So we can leverage this to do engineering or study electricity. So these things enable us to build buildings, build roads, build all kinds of things, okay, for our convenience. And then there is chemistry. Chem comes from the word chemical, right? So basically you're studying the chemical composition of things. So what is an example of a chemical? Something that we can study. Let's say H2O, right? Water. Okay, so what is water made out of? It's made out of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So what is its structure? What's the structure of water? What's the properties of water? How does it react with other things and all the other chemicals that exist around us, right? So if you enjoy chemistry, you can do something like pharmacology. Does the word pharma ring a bell to you? Pharma is all about medicine, okay? How medicines, how they work, how we can develop them. And then you can also go into toxicology. The word toxic is all about dangerous substances, the study of dangerous substances, and forensic, okay? The use of science to solve crimes. That's pretty fun, right? Quite interesting also. And then we have geology, which is all about rocks, soils, minerals, all the things in the earth and on the ground. Okay, so you can study the chemistry of these things. You can study the physics, the physical behavior of these things. And you can also study the formation of it in geomorphology, which is all about the landscape on planet Earth, right? The formation of mountains, the formation of valleys, formation of all kinds of structures that we can see around us. And then we have astronomy. Astronomy is pretty interesting. One field in astronomy is astrophysics, whereby we study the behavior of celestial objects like moons, stars, planets, the sun, and any other object in space. Okay, and last but not least, we have meteorology. You may have heard this word before as well. It is about the study of the weather and climate. So whether is it raining, is it sunny, is it going to rain tomorrow, how much of rainfall are we going to have next year? So this is what they study in meteorology. And one example of it is hydrometeorology. What does the word hydro tell us? Hydro is water. Okay, so basically they study things like the water cycle, rainfall, the rate of evaporation, and these kind of things. Water on Earth, all right? How water cycles on Earth, all right? So these are the 6 fields, and there are generally 4 branches in the kinds of careers you can pursue. So biology, whereby you can study life, whether animals or human doctor or plant doctor, or just becoming a nurse or even a researcher, right? And then geology, you can be a geologist, you can study about rocks, you can become an environmentalist or physicist or a chemist and things like that. Or you can become a lecturer as well. And then we have physics. So all the things related to physics are things like, building buildings, even astronomy, because we are looking at the behavior and the movement of these celestial objects, right? Meteorologists, you can become a lecturer or architect. And last but not least, chemistry. So then you can do things related to chemical compositions, right? So things like becoming a pharmacist, you have to understand how the medicine works, a chemist, a biochemist, a teacher, and even a forensic scientist. All right, so there are many careers here. They look like they are very separate and different things, but in actuality, if you want to do any one of these careers, you'll have to know a little bit about other things as well. Okay, for instance, you see here medical doctor sits under the category of biology, but in reality, right, you have to know a good amount of chemistry as well in order to be a very good medical doctor. Okay, so most of these careers would be like that. It's actually a mix. It will overlap here and there. All right, so let's take a look at some questions. I want to show you guys how questions can come out for your exam in terms of this first chapter. Okay, we look at the questions together. As we go through them, I want you guys to try to think about your answers. If you want, you can jot down short notes, okay? And after this, I will show you guys the answer scheme, okay? The answer scheme given, so we can look at it together. Okay, the first one, give 3 examples of daily activities that involve science. That means you have to describe things that you do on a day-to-day basis that have some relation to science, okay? So you can really give any answer, any reasonable answer will be accepted over here, as long as it is something you do daily. Okay, number 2, write through for statements that show natural phenomena, things that happen naturally in our environment. Things like the formation of dew on grass. What is dew? Does anyone know what is dew? Dew is basically due to condensation, right? Usually in the morning, you can see if you go touch grass or leaves, or even if you are driving to school, sometimes you see on the windscreen, you see it's like all wet, but it didn't rain. What is that? So it's actually just a condensation, right? So is this a natural phenomena or not? Taking a car to school, is this natural? The formation of rainbow, a ball thrown upwards comes down, construction of Petronas Twin Towers. So which of these is natural? Okay, and then state the importance of science to humans in the following fields: agriculture, medicine, industry, information technology, and also transportation. All right, so you have to write why do you think science is important to this particular field? Okay, right, let's take a look at some of the answers, yeah, for this first part. Okay, so some examples of daily activities. These are sample answers that you can give. Eating breakfast, such as milk and cereals. Okay, so where's the science in this? We have as human beings, we are able to digest milk and cereal, right? Okay, this involves digestion, so we can eat this kind of foods. So this is part of science. The use of smartphones to browse the internet. So what part of science is this? This is all about the transmission of signals, right? If we cannot transmit signals, then we cannot get internet connection. So this is a part of science as well. And most importantly, remember, don't stray from the question. It has to be a daily activity, something we do every day. Okay, how about construction of high-rise buildings? This pertains to engineering, isn't it? Which is all about physics. Okay, so a part of science as well. Write through for statements that show natural phenomena. Okay, formation of dew. Yes, this is true. This is condensation. How about taking a car to school? Is this natural? No, this is not natural. Okay, you can take any way to school. You can walk to school. You can take a bus. This is not natural phenomena. It doesn't happen naturally in the environment. Okay, formation of rainbow. Rainbows are due to refraction of light. Yes, this is natural. A ball thrown upwards comes down. Okay, the first part is not natural, ball thrown upwards, but yes, the focus here is about it comes down. Okay, so this part is natural, the coming down part is natural. So yes, this is true. This is gravity, right? Wherever you throw a ball, it will come down on Earth. Okay, the construction of Petronas Twin Towers, of course, this is not natural, all right? Human beings have to do this one. Okay, what is the importance of science to humans? So in agriculture, science will help us produce high quality crops and livestock. Okay, how about medicine? Medicine, science produce medicines to treat various human health problems. And then in industry, science has simplified various industrial processes by introducing automatic machines. Okay, this enables us to do things in a much more efficient and faster way. Okay, how about in information technology? Science has facilitated communications and information sharing globally. And last but not least, transportation. Science has created various types of transport to facilitate human movements. Okay, so these are just sample answers, and this part of this kind of a bonus lah. Okay, any reasonable answer that you give will be accepted in this part of the exam. All right. Okay, so that brings me to the end of our first subtopic, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right. Bye.